in our conversation here in the past 10 or 15 minutes, we've kind of used both terms, right? And so why don't you tell us how you would define each one? Like, how do you define a martial artist? How do you define a fighter? And then maybe we can discuss some similarities, differences, how they complement each other, stuff like that.
Well, I think we can start because this is a tricky question. And this is one that's like one of the most common questions in the world today, in the combat's world today. Because you would see that if you're like a UFC fighter, you go to MMA gym, like Extreme Couture, or, you're like a Sean Strickland, you'd be like a fighter, right? But Sean Strickland and Extreme Couture, they train martial arts. So they're all martial artists. But maybe they're not martial arts in the traditional sense of like he's a Taekwondo practitioner or a karate practitioner or a Kung Fu practitioner. And then that's where the two worlds divide. There's like an invisible line when it's all one, but it's like there's an invisible line that people have. There's a traditional world, quote unquote, and then there's the fight world, quote unquote. And I started coming up in the traditional world, where now today you can just come up in the fighter's world, where you're just going to go to a program and train straight MMA, which has become its own style in itself. So the difference, I guess you could say for me, the way I've learned is that martial arts, I'm considered like, I go by sensei, but I'm really ranked as a master. And what mastery means, not that you're the best fighter in the world, that you can beat everybody up, because there's old men who are masters who cannot fight anymore, who cannot compete anymore, and usually just practice for self-defense and fitness. But martial art at mastery level is to expand an organization, grow an organization, spread martial arts, encourage people to join, encourage people to share, and that's what you as a master are doing. Like Yoda, he's always working with the Padawans, the young ones, right? Where Anakin comes slays all the young Jedis. Why does he kill all those kids? Because they're gonna grow up one day and become warriors. So they start with the philosophies of the martial arts and the character building, and that's what the mastery is supposed to be doing. Now, when you grow up as an instructor, you're kind of helping out, learning how to teach, and there's an art to teaching as well. So there's people who are great fighters and leaders in their gym, but not necessarily great teachers and can spread the martial arts necessarily. I've been around like top 8 fighters. I've been training with them, and I've seen how they coach and teach other people. I'm like, oh man, like that guy is not going to learn anything today. And the guy who's never fought before, who's a great teacher, can improve what this person's doing. Like Freddie Roach, he was a great boxer. He's a legendary boxing coach, but he had a horrible boxing career. And he's like, I'm better at coaching than I am at boxing, so he became a coach. So he would be considered master, like a master of boxing. You know what I mean? So master, and these are all just terms and titles. Don't really mean anything anyway. But that's the difference, is that you would have like a fighter who's pretty much fighting for yourself, fighting for your brand, fighting for your team, your country, whatever you have. But like they're fighting, and the martial artist is about spreading the martial arts and growing a community and in a lifestyle.
I feel like a fighter is doing the action. Yes. When an artist is understanding it.
Yes.
Yes. And I was thinking about this myself. I was like, it's funny how art is in the name. Artist. Like, what is an artist? Someone that can express creativity in a certain way.
Exactly.
And to express it, you have to understand it. Right. So it is very interesting. And I also grew up I played baseball. I've never done any type of martial arts. I don't know very much about it. But I grew up playing baseball, and oftentimes the best coaches are not the best players.
Yeah.
So it's very similar,
And baseball players, real quick, translate best to fighting.
Why is that?
Because they're hand-eye coordination.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I can see that.
You can see that you can get a guy who's a black belt jiu-jitsu, his whole life. Like you get to the ground, he's gonna mangle you. But he can stand him up, and he can't even throw a punch. Sometimes I see high-level jiu-jitsu guys try to do Muay Thai or boxing. I'm like, dude, have you never? I mean, I'm not a black belt jiu-jitsu guy, but I know how to shrimp. I know how to guillotine. I know how to armbar. I know how to pass a guard. Like, you can't throw a jab. You know what I mean? Like, come on. And then same thing with the boxers. If a boxer's never kicked before, you throw it, like, you get Floyd Mayweather in here. I kick him one time in the leg. He don't know what to do.